We're now learning Area 51, America's capital city for UFO sightings, and the stuff of Hollywood science fiction is apparently real.
Joe, the number of people who say they're interested just keeps growing.
More than 1.7 million people on Facebook have expressed interest to get into Area 51, one of the most secure and highly protected pieces of property on the planet where lethal force can be used on trespassers.
For your time, by the way. I know how busy you are. This is amazing.
No, this is a subject that it's the time. So I actually got this shirt from Jeremy. It's an Element 115 shirt. So
I need that shirt. Super cool.
Yeah. So we're this is the subject. This is what we're talking about.
There's so much going on right now. It's insane. So I was thinking, oh my God, I need to speak to someone who is really there also, because a lot of people in Europe, they don't really follow what's going on.
Right.
A lot of people are not even familiar with the idea of Area 51. They don't know what it is.
Do they not watch movies?
They do, but it just isn't as widely spread as common knowledge as in the US. It's more alive there. Yeah.
In pop culture, we have a lot of references and stuff to it too. So.
Yes, of course. Yeah. But right now, of course, with that documentary on Netflix about Bob Lazar and his coming out in a sense again, but in the best way ever, guided by Jeremy Corbell.
Yep.
That is a real must-see for, at least I would say, for all the starseeds that want to, follow up on the disclosure agenda unfolding, because every fiber in my body, everything in my system says this is it. It's really starting to happen right now, and there's no way back. The momentum in this thing is already so big that even with the taking down of the event, there's no stopping it. It's still going. It's still building. This group is still online. People are still talking about it. And you can't take away this momentum of curiosity, which is genuine. I mean, even behind the jokes, there lies a core, genuine curiosity within basically everybody that is a member of that group and joking and talking along about this subject, I feel. How do you feel about that?
I agree. We're having the conversation, and that's what matters. And that's what I've sort of been telling everybody. The good thing about this, you have a lot of people that are like, oh, it's disinfo, or it might be there's nothing at Area 51, or why are you even wasting time on that? And my response to them is to say, we're having the conversation, and this goes the same with, I know there's, this is directly tied also to all the news media and the coming out of the AATIP program, the aerial threat program that the Pentagon has released, almost for 2 years now, which the Stars Academy started, and then they have their own show on what channel is that? They've got, I forget there's a whole TV show on National Geographic about it. Okay. So that news too is sort of tied into what's happening at the Area 51 situation. A little bit different. That Area 51 just spawned off of Jeremy's documentary, but it's in the consciousness of the mass consciousness, is the subject matter, the discussions, and there's different agendas going on here with the way this information comes out and the way they're wanting people to receive it. And, there's a lot going on. But the key thing, the number one thing that I keep putting out there, no matter what, the motives behind these different groups and whatnot and all this stuff, information that is coming out, no matter the motives, just having the conversation right now is the most important thing we can be doing.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Keep it in the ethers, into the consciousness, and to keep that circling. And then, because there's different stages, the first stage, which we've been in, well, I should say the pre-stage, which we've been in for so long, is just the stage of denial. That that it doesn't exist, that it, if you believe in aliens, you're wearing a tinfoil hat, you're crazy, whatever. So we're getting over that hump, and that's the biggest hump, I think, that we need to get over, and having the conversation in this way and in other ways, and this is the most important thing. And then the next stage, which I don't think we're there yet, it's going to come up very quickly, and a lot of people are going to try to control the narrative, is why are they here? What are they doing? And you and I were very far beyond that with the channeling information and my show and everything else. But you have the whole group of humanity is going to start asking those questions pretty soon. A lot of them already are. And that's why we have my show. That's why we have the work that you're doing, is to help guide those people. But on the bigger stage, the bigger collective, what we're dealing with is just the admittance that something beyond Earth, our Earth plane, actually exists. And that's, for me, from being in this for this long, that's a big hump to get over, and we're still in that process. We're still in the process of people coming to that realization. So until then, until we get the whole planet on board with this idea that ETs exist, we need to just keep having the conversation and keep pursuing a conversation about it. All the other stuff will fall into place at the right timing.
And what I find so beautiful about this thing, this storm area 51, they can stop all of us. There's this immediate, even though, I'm just going to quote the title because a lot of people tuning in right now haven't even heard that yet. So that was the name of the event. Right. And we can share a little bit about the background. Maybe you can do that in a little bit. Sure. But what I really like about the frequency surrounding this is that it started out as a joke. A bit of a joke, and maybe not just a joke, but that's that everybody can decide that for themselves. Sure. But because generally publicly it is advertised as a big joke that got quote unquote out of hand. But I think if a seed is being planted in a world, in a society, and it grows roots really, really fast, then we were all ready for that seed. And what I really love is that this seemed to be a joke, or maybe it still is to a lot of people, but that makes the fundament quite humorous and playful and creative. It's very creative. People are playing around with this as if somebody gave them a huge digital play yard. Like a lot of adults are suddenly meeting on this playground and are all having fun about the same idea. But, this is so beautiful because it's very de-armoring. And it's hilarious that the thing is, it is about the military system. So it's a de-armoring way of looking at something that can be severely serious. So I'm really fascinated by the polarity and the contrast, like the way this is being approached and the way people are being offered a language to speak in. There's a lot of code words, Kyles and crazy plans about how to go about this storming, with a lot of humor again. But I think we're all accessing our subconscious knowing within the jokes. a lot of these jokes, I totally get where they're coming from. I mean, as a channeler, I can see how it all ties into the bigger picture. And I'm like, wow, people that feel attracted to this, I think subconsciously already know what is actually happening. And I think that that's also why it has such a huge momentum, because I think, well, there's at least one version of Earth where we are all meeting in this big game of this event and everything surrounding it, where people are ready to pop the bubble of the, I don't know, the regime as it has been so long, because we are separated from it. People are paying taxes basically for things they know nothing about. You don't know where your money is going, and you don't know how it's being used. And if you're asking for the truth about these matters, you could be killed, like for real. It could actually go that far if you really pursue it. And what kind of a system is that? What was the initial idea about military not there to protect us, you know?
Right.
So this is a really crazy out of hand situation. And this playing field helps address that in a seemingly harmless way. I mean, this could go many directions, obviously, and I would never promote violence ever. I really love where Matty, the organizer of the event, said at some point in his interview with Jeremy Corbell, it is better to show an interest towards government and military than to demand answers. And that's what this playing field is offering to people, to show the government and the military how much of an interest there is, how ready we are. Because if up until now the military felt, which I can actually understand, I can empathize, if they felt that they had to keep the idea of extraterrestrial contact or, you know, even existence entirely secret for the safety of the people, to prevent chaos, you know, I can understand that. If that's how it started out, then the people now have a voice to show the military, we don't need that kind of protection anymore. We're ready for the full blunt truth. Where we are right now with our, you know, civilization, you have a right to know. We all have a right to know. So this is what I'm super excited about, that this is gaining momentum, this curiosity, and like Matty says, showing your interests. And then you're communicating from people to people. I mean, the people in the military are still people. They're still human. So human beings are telling other human beings. I mean, I'm like, I can understand everybody's point of view, and I wish for everybody the best and safety and love and happiness in their lives. And I so hope that from this yearning from the hearts of the questioners, now the other people that actually hold the answers can feel that in their own hearts and feel moved to step forward like Bob Lazar did and start sharing, you know, start opening up for the benefit of the whole.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think truly there have been people in the military at high rank and high status that do want this information out. I don't know if I shared with you the guy from the Pentagon that showed up when I was showed up in my office when I was producing the citizen hearing on disclosure.
I'm not sure, but we can post links below this video anyway. We will post all the links, like Netflix, documentary, everything.
Yeah, this was actually a private event that happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is, you know, and I've said this in other interviews a little bit, and this is why I sort of was really paying attention to the Q movement, which there's a lot of mixed feelings about that movement right now. And I've sort of stepped back from it a little bit because of the polarity that it's been bringing. You know, there's a lot of charge around it, and that's it goes both ways, right? So, but anyways, I started really paying attention to the Q movement, especially right in the beginning, after the first week that Q showed up, because of some of the key words that sort of buzzwords that I had heard from this meeting in 2013, when I had a man in uniform show up, gave me his business card and said he was from the Pentagon. And he said, we're monitoring what you're doing and we can appreciate it. He said, we actually want you. There are certain members of us in the military, we're called the White Hats, and we know about this information, the secrets and everything else. We want it out, but because we took an oath of secrecy and we're sworn in this way, we can't release the information, but you can, and you're doing it, so good luck, kind of thing. It was just kind of like
Wow.
just a little pat on the back to like help push me forward, like thinking that I might have negative repercussions from producing this event in Washington, D.C. It was sort of like a pat on the back. You're like, no, you're doing the right thing.
Wow.
Good luck.
Wow.
So that happened, in 2013. And that gave me a bigger scope of, oh, wait a minute, this is not just the government trying to secret. There are factions. There are many factions within all of this. The disclosure subject is a very intricate and complex machine that a lot of people are trying to get ahead of the narrative so they can control certain aspects of who's going to benefit, who's going to not benefit, and all this stuff. So knowing that, not knowing that back in 2013, but getting a bigger understanding of that after doing the citizen hearing and disclosure, and then moving forward with this work that we're doing here with the channeling and having direct contact, having a bigger understanding of the energy involved, of the again, this is one of the reasons why I stepped away from the Q information. I should say I still follow it as far as just seeing what's happening, but as far as like putting it out there or even having that conversation, because it's now become so polarized. And seeing and a lot of that has been created. It goes both ways, right? There's nothing one-sided. So one side is pushing the other side is pushing this. So there's these polarizations and there's pushes and pulls, and my point of view is to look at everything for what it is and not, don't get on that pull, don't play that game. But it's fascinating. It's just fascinating to see all of these different factions and how they're, who's trying to basically, when you're dealing with government structures, when you're dealing with structure, period, especially this very masculine, super polarized, one-sided, I think structure is a masculine energy, but when you go into hyperstructure, as far as like our governments, as far as the compartmentalization is, and all of this, technical this and that, and, it's a very highly masculine energy that doesn't have any kind of, very rigid, and doesn't have any kind of, there's no softness there for it to expand or go different directions or whatever. So there's a lot of people in that rigid, highly masculine, I'm just saying this in an energy sense, trying to gain the narrative and push things this way, and it has to be this way, and it has to fit like a puzzle, and it has to be like this. And what the Area 51 event with what Maddie started has just completely threw from the left field a lot of feminine energy into this over masculine subject of disclosure from the government and all this stuff. And like you said, with the military and all of that stuff, that's just, again, there's nothing wrong with the military. It's just the over masculineness of that whole structure. It's just everybody's freaking out. Everybody's like, what do we do now? This was not part of the plan.
Right. And the intent of the military, I think, originated in really genuinely wanting to care for, and protect, like in a
serve and protect
way, like
to serve and protect.
Yeah,
that is law enforcement, military. That is the first word is serve and protect. And the military has gotten such a bad rap because it's, again, hyper focused, going over masculine into that energy of, now it's not just serve and protect, it's to dominate, it's to rule. And we have these weapons that we can use to control and destroy and blow people up. When the original intent is to serve the people, protect them from any other type of threats. But stuff that I've learned from the channelings and going everything else, whenever you put up a wall, it's going to invite things to come and destroy it. And that's a big it's a big pill for a lot of people to swallow, because to say, what, you're telling me to not go get my gun and protect myself? And a lot of people don't understand that concept yet. And I think that's going to be a big one for humanity to get. It's going to take some time, especially now, this ties into this past weekend's gun shootings here in America, and what's flooded the news over here is that's how, but it's my God-given right to have a gun. Yes. And just that energy of you going to buy more guns, because once again, gun sales, every time there's a mass shooting, gun sales skyrocket. And I know we're diverting from the subject a little bit here, but it ties in.
Yeah.
The gun sales skyrocket. And I posted an article about that in Forbes, about, like, once again, every time there's a mass shooting, everybody's worried about gun laws being more prohibited. So what do people go do? Buy a ton of guns. And you're just perpetuating the same energy of what's creating the issue in the first place. So,
whereas in countries, like in my country, you're not allowed to buy a gun as a citizen. You can't. Right. You just can't.
Right.
You need to be a cop. You need to be in the army. You need to be, trained, really trained. And otherwise it's illegal. And then the amount of how do you call them? Gun casualties, or how do you call this kind of situation?
Yeah, gun casualties, victims.
Yeah, that it's like, it's nothing compared to the US, and then Japan, I believe, even has the lowest rate.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see how mindset ties in with reality as we co-create it. Sure. Obviously.
Well, in America, it's particularly difficult subject, because the Constitution wrote in, and this is brilliant. This is part of the U.S. Constitution. Which makes it stand out, is the right to bear arms. Now, what people read is the reason behind that. So the reason behind the right to bear arms is to keep the government, any sort of nefarious governments, from having too much control and overthrowing their people.
The actual reason.
That's the reason.
Just so in your law.
Constitution, yeah, in our Constitution.
Whoa.
The right to bear arms, I forget, it's like the Second or Third Amendment. It's like right up at the very top. That's why it's freedom of speech and blah blah blah, and the right to bear arms, right? So it's part of the actual Constitution that the four founders of the country made, and they created it because they, defected from England and formed this new country, because they were tired of the rule of the king and queen monarchs, the overrule of the government to have over the people. So in their thoughts and their ideas, and this is back in 1700s or whatever, how many hundreds of years ago, when America was being created, was that if we had weapons, then the governments could never come and push their will or their power on the people. The people would be able to protect themselves from them. So we're in a very different age right now, where our military is so sophisticated and our law enforcement is so sophisticated with their weapons. There's, beam technology. There's, all kinds of crazy stuff that most people don't even know about. But still, you're not going to be able to protect yourself from any type of military or government overthrow. However, this ties into Area 51. The military and government are sweating bullets, because they know if 3 million people showed up with guns or not, that number of people there's no way the base could protect itself from. In a sense, it would get very nasty, very, very nasty.
Yes, exactly. It would get very nasty, but take it to it.
But it's funny, because they actually show in some of the memes and things that are talking about this storming Area 51, they actually show the scenes from the Steven Spielberg movie with the virtual reality. What's the name of the movie? It's Game On. No, Player One. Ready Player One.
Oh yes, Ready Player One. Yes.
So because they show the scenes from it. Because basically, in that, it's a similar situation where the guy goes and he calls out all of these different players, and hey, we're gonna go. You might die.
Yeah.
We're gonna go storm the castle, basically, so to say, and all these different players from the Gundams and all these different characters that were
amazing film, I must see also.
Yeah. Yes, amazing film, and that end scene is basically kind of a similar energy, similar idea, and this is why I think they're using it in the memes, is like they can't take us out in numbers. They may have bigger weapons and better things, but they may take us out in numbers. So again, back to the Constitution thing. So this right to bear arms, a lot of people, because it's in the Constitution, people don't really know the full energy and the reason behind it. They're just like, it's my constitutional right to have a weapon, and I need to have a gun, and I can go out and shoot it whenever I want. I just can't shoot people because that's illegal, but it's my God-given right. That's what America was founded on. Yes, and again, yes, and we need to look at it from a different lens and different timing right now. And we need to look at the reasons behind it. Why was it formed? Now, and then to see if there's other ways that we can protect ourselves without a weapon, in a sense, but because right now, physical weapons, like we know the most valuable commodity on the planet right now, it's no longer energy, which used to be the most valuable commodity. It's now data. Data is the most valuable weapon. So if data is the most valuable weapon on the planet, we need to datafy ourselves and figure out how do people get control of the data. And that's a more powerful weapon than an actual gun or anything else like this. So, I mean, and this goes deep, and this could go off in probably a 10-hour tangent of the energy behind all this and everything else. But to get back to the Area 51 thing, it is a big subject matter. It is tied to disclosure. It's tied to so many things, like you pointed out in the very beginning, the energy behind it. It goes deep. And yes, I'm very tied into it because of Jeremy and Bob. I've only met Bob once, but Jeremy's a good buddy. I produced, and he was at the citizen hearing. He's my partner in the citizen hearing on disclosure. Still is today. We're still running things. There's some fun stuff I share later coming up with the citizen hearing. So
nice.
It's just getting started. Where it's headed, what's going with that stuff.
That's what I'm feeling. It's just getting started, but it's getting started with a bang. I mean, this thing with a bang. Like the moment I heard about this for the first time, randomly standing in the store. I don't even follow the news, but I overheard this event being mentioned on a Dutch radio station in a store. And I never usually listen to the radio either, so it was like really orchestrated. So I'm like, what's going on? And I went home and like looked it up, and I was immediately like, whoa, this is like you said, it's covering all subjects basically that are keeping us small as a human race, and we are ready to stand in our power, in our sovereignty, and this could be a potential door to walk through and do that. And I'm super excited to see where this will go. Now, I wrote to you a little bit like 2 days ago. I asked you, hey, did you know the event was taken down? The original event is not even online anymore. What are your thoughts about that? What do you think will happen?
It actually is back up. I think now it is.
It is back up. Okay, thank you for the update.
I think, let me just double check while I got you online here. What I heard I talked to Jeremy yesterday. I told him we were going to be speaking. But
it was taken down for a moment, and you also knew why. So that's nice, maybe to know for people.
Yeah, it's back up. No, I'm sorry. There's Area 51, the movie. I recommend everyone go and subscribe to that. Area 51, the movie. Area 51, They Can't Stop Us All is back online. And let's see where we're at with the number of people and everything else. Events page going. I'm saying I'm going, which I'm not. Don't tell anybody. Hold on a second. Interested, going. Where is oh, here's the discussion. Maybe it's in the discussion. I'm not seeing the actual number of people. I'm seeing, oh, look at that, crazy, more memes. Yes, the memes never end.
The memes are amazing. The memes are
glorious,
so educational.
the glorious, amazing creativity of the human race never ceases.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if we Naruto run, we can move fast. So yeah, I think this is the same one. It's just not showing the number of people going like it used to. This could be a new one, maybe, perhaps. Okay, so I'm just spending so much more time. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. But basically, it's back up in one way or another.
Okay.
I'll do some more research to see if this is the same exact one. It seems to be, and I was told by Jeremy yesterday it was back up. There was some just investigations going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, Matthew Roberts was inspired a little bit, at least. I don't know how much. I don't know, but
oh yeah, he was
by the Netflix documentary with Bob Lazar, Jeremy.
Yep, you watched the Netflix documentary. Then he watched Joe Rogan's interview. So Joe Rogan, partially, we could partially blame him.
Oh yeah, Joe Rogan, yay! By the way,
yeah,
yes, I watched that interview too. I watched them all, and I could totally see how all of this dominoes, and clicks in together. It makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting because up until now, there's been this seemingly black and white split between people that are interested in extraterrestrial life through channeling and the spiritual expansion way, la-di-da, and then the people that are researching the physical data, what have we found, what have people seen, who is speaking from physical experience. So there's been this more physically oriented perspective and the more spiritual oriented perspective, and I feel that with this event the two are meeting because of the humor, and humor is a bridge between everybody, right? I'm convinced that there are people in the military reading along in the group and having fun with it, like actually laughing out loud on a regular basis because this is so fun. And there's so much playfulness. Of course, nobody knows what it's going to actually look like on the day itself. Are they still going to do it at 3 a.m.? I'm like, why would you make it in the night if everybody knows when it's going to happen? Just do it in a day, or just don't storm at all. Just stand there and I don't know, sing songs or be present, but don't introduce or invite violence where it's not needed. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, again, what?
Yeah, that's what Jeremy and Maddie have sort of made it very clear now that. It was a joke. So whoever's listening, It was an absolute joke. But the fact that everybody has so much interest, great. And instead of creating violence, let's get together at the little alien inn. Jeremy's already talking to all the people. There's all the different people involved in that area that have the hotel, and there's a gift shop and stuff, and all the owners and everybody, and they're all allocating space. They're all trying to get porta potties in there. They're trying to get some music stuff, and this is going to come out in the next couple of days, more details. So I'm just going to touch on it a little bit because I don't know the details really other than just my brief conversation with Jeremy. But the idea now is, hey, we had no idea, Maddie is saying this as well, had no idea this was going to be as big as this.
No.
I'm sorry, guys, I was joking. Obviously I was joking with the Naruto run and storming at 3 a.m. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, nobody's going to storm Area 51. But what we'd like to do is to celebrate the interest in this
right.
Celebrate the memes, celebrate all of this stuff, come down to the desert, have a great time, listen to some awesome music, buy some cool t-shirts, right? And have some prominent speakers on the subject matter there for free. This is all going to be for free.
Very nice.
And get educated, and then find out what we can do together collectively without violence to have more of this conversation, and to have our government disclose specific aspects of this the stuff that they've been keeping a secret for a long time. But you're not going to get it by storming. You're going to get a bullet in the face by storming Area 51.
Yeah. This is a serious risk. Yeah.
Serious risk.
Nobody should want to run. Yes.
Yeah. So even though the idea is great and it's turned into this playful thing, which it should be, realistic next steps are let's just not let this fade away, and let's turn it into an annual event. September 20th every year. Let's meet at Area 51. Let's have the conversation. Let's party. Let's have songs. Let's I don't drink, but let's have some beers and some ice cold beers in the desert. I know it's going to be awesome, but this is what Jeremy and Maddie and others, George Knapp, are trying to navigate and turn this joke. Because you don't know the mentality of some people. They're going to show up and they're going to be pumped and they're going to be like, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yes, thank you, but let's direct that energy into something cool. And the fact that you have Jeremy sort of stepping up to the plate and talking with the local people and doing this, everybody's now getting pumped, and including the military. The military's like, you know what? You've showed us and you've scared us. I don't know if they said this exactly, but I think this is my interpretation. I think that they're like, oh shit, 3 million people could potentially. Jeremy said something like their estimates. They actually have an estimate now that 28,000 people could be showing up. I don't know where they get this. Maybe this is with NSA spying power and listening to all of our conversations and knowing that, and having the algorithms to say that potentially out of the 3 million, 28,000 people could show up. That's still a lot of people. It's still a lot, the anime conventions that I go to have 20 to 30,000 people, and they're in big, huge convention centers, right? And that's a lot of people in one area. That's a lot of porta potties. That's a lot of traffic to deal with. There's going to be, but it's also a lot of opportunity if run right, if done in the right way, could not only have the extra media attention, but could also be something really cool if people, control themselves and don't do anything crazy. So with this day and age of the shootings, that we just saw, it is something that we need to be super careful with. We had a horrible Las Vegas shooting a couple years ago that it's this is why I think law enforcement is super concerned. Not that the military is going to be shooting at the people, but that there could be a few crazies in the audience taking advantage of the situation as well. So there is a lot of eyes coming from law enforcement, FBI, and others to really figure this situation out and keep it safe, because that even though it's still a joke and most people understand that, it still started as Storm Area 51. It still started the beginning energy of this was, let's go get them, and we have to subdue that energy and to turn that ship into a different thing, which it is doing now, and to keep it that way. It's still a very delicate.
Hold on to the energy in a sense of like translate the power of that storming into an enthusiasm and a love and a curiosity and a playful and creative way to express that. And I would invite everybody to take care of each other. I mean, within the military and outside of the military, and for each other, vice versa. I mean, maybe some military people will, join the crowd and watch some of the music or some of the public speakers, which would be so beautiful. Yeah. Maybe they can be invited even.
I think from what I've heard from Jeremy that there is this enthusiasm. There's a lot of caution, but they're like, if coming from some of the government, military / law enforcement, yeah, they told, this is a cool event. Everybody
Yeah,
wants to know. Even the military guys, a lot of them don't know. Even Bob Lazar wants to
exactly.
know, right? He's
Right, of course.
he's he got to work on one ship, but he saw 9 ships there. He
Mhm.
he wanted to touch them all. He wanted to have information and access on it all. So we all want to know more about this subject matter.
Yeah,
And
of course.
but there's a right way, and there's going to get you killed way, and
Yeah.
we need to go after the safer alternative for sure.
Yeah. 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 And I just really envision people connecting through the heart and, keeping each other safe. So if there's one person in a crowd that is truly planning on doing a crazy thing, guys, get together, take care of each other. I mean, it is a real risk, and it's not the way to get your answers.
Yeah, I think right now, if people go with the intention that Jeremy's now trying to steer the ship in, as far as community celebration, wanting to know more, talking to experts on the subject matter, whistleblowers,
That's cool. That's really cool.
then people will embrace that. People will be like, yeah, and and get this us against them mentality. Take that out of it.
Well, like you said, a lot of military people don't know either. So the us is bigger than we think.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a big thing. I think the whole thing with what turned Black Lives Matter so nasty is that us versus them mentality, and cops. My dad's a cop, for a retired cop. I have a lot of law enforcement friends. They're in the same boat. They're like, we don't want things like this. We don't want this world to be, we're again, the job that they signed up for is to serve and protect.
Yes.
That goes, and most of my, and all of my law enforcement friends actually are in that mentality to this day. It's like, I'm here. How can I help you? This is why I'm here. I signed up for this job, not to go muscle people up and put them in jail and get, violent. That's the last resort, last resort. So we need to look at our military and law enforcement through a different lens, and to understand that they're here to do that, and they're doing a job, and that job has gotten perverted over the years because of the amount of polarity that news media, that the pervertedness of the Black Lives Matter, and I say that that it started out with this great intention, and it still does have a good meaning behind it. We need to pay attention to people who've been oppressed for so long, and it's still, and that energy still exists. So we need to have awareness around that. But when it becomes a us versus them mentality, again, everything becomes perverted, and that's the same with the police too. It becomes, oh, now we're the police and those are the people, and it's just us versus them mentality, as opposed to, let's look at it in reality. We're all here together. We're all here to support and uplift each other.
Right.
And yeah, absolutely. I know a ton of military people who are so fascinated about this subject matter, and a lot of them even got join the military because they just want to know more about the ET stuff, and they were hoping to get in, go up the ranks to find out. And they got stuck with the desk job, or they got stuck with having to wash toilets or whatever. But
following this group on Facebook.
But so they're excited. Everybody is. This is what unites all of us here, and why
exactly.
This Area 51 thing is so fun is because even though it does have this us versus them mentality, what it was started with, basically everybody's treating it as just this fun joke, and let's hope that energy sticks.
Yes, I hope that
this
too.
Incarnation and many incarnations after.
Yeah, and maybe we can end on the note that the mere idea of extraterrestrial life and existence has into itself the capacity to help us unite more. because we will understand we are on one planet, we are one planetary race, we are one, and they are them, and then there is a whole lot of multidimensional everything in between, and we can all connect, and we are all connecting already in one way, shape, or form, but this is still unfolding. But it may help us remember that we are living together on a planet. We're gonna have to cherish this planet and take good care of it. What I really love, for instance, is a big chunk of the army in India started planting trees. I mean, hello, what do we all really need? How can the army serve us in other ways than, feeling for their own reasons that they need to keep secrets from the people? So I think it's so beautiful that right now we get to review all of these things from a new perspective. And yeah, it could go in many directions, like I said before, but I'm just super excited, and I'm just continuously sending my love, and yeah, I'm loving the jokes.
Well,
I'm enjoying the humor and the creativity that I see is uniting people right now around this subject.
Well, I think what we can all do is, as an exercise, is to hold the highest vision possible
Exactly.
for the outcome of this event,
Right.
and for all future, to come events that become, like this, even the sort of so-called nasty events, the gun shooting, right? The recent gun shootings that we've just had in America. There's going to be a lot of polarity swinging back and forth of, the gun rights and these things, and the attention to mentally disabled people, and how to deal with that issue. There's been, I think it's the first time I've seen in the conversation being had in the public eye, is that yes, guns are an issue, but the mental illness aspects of it are also an issue. And how do we fix that? How do we, that part of the conversation has always been at the totem pole, and it's always been some other, this the gun thing or whatever, which is obviously guns are an issue, just having them, and yeah, look at your country, look at Japan. But there are more, it's a deeper issue, and we're actually not having that conversation. So I think even when I see disasters, I try to hold the highest vision of the outcome. What can we have produced out of this disaster at the highest? Like our imaginations, we so much we don't even use our imagination. We simply default.
Or that.
Right, yeah, we default to, oh, well, that'll never happen. But, people are, no, people will, I know how people operate, and it's just going to turn out really ugly. That's the default sort of conversation whenever and then I'm like, well, no, what if, could you imagine a world like this? I was having a conversation yesterday, getting picked up from the airport to here at the hotel, started talking about AI and the automatic default to, and I was like, talking about traffic, and I can't wait till all the cars are automated and running on an AI system that can run everybody, so we don't have to drive in traffic anymore, right? This is around the corner. And then, the automatic default for so many people, for my driver, was, you've seen Fifth Element, right? Remember as soon as the main actress there, when she goes on the internet, she sees all the death and destruction and everything else. So as soon as AI turns onto the internet, it's going to see all the stuff, and then it's just going to destroy humanity, because it knows that humanity is going to be a threat to itself. So AI, in my eyes, is a bad thing, and we should never have it, because it's like, you've seen the Terminator, right? It doesn't go well. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What if AI? Because he's saying, well, AI is just going to look at human history, and it's going to look at all the wars that humans humans are basically the biggest threat to itself, as well to the Earth. So it's just going to take out humans. And I'm like, that's what we've been told in the movies. But AI is also smart enough to analyze that our history is being rewritten in real time, and that we're discovering that in real time through, new discoveries. Graham Hancock, every week, if you follow his Facebook, he's posting, tons of articles and new discoveries of carbon dated this old artifact found, this thing that our history is nothing like what we've thought it was going to be. So the AI should be able to analyze that humans are rediscovering their history in real time, essentially, that what's written is not the truth, that they're just finding out. So AI would then decide to say, no, we're not going to take humans out, because what they believe their history to be is a complete lie. They've been told that their history is only 5,000 years old and all this, whatever, and it's all full of wars and everything else. But wait, there's a much richer part of the human story that we're just starting to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And I use my imagination to see a better aspect of humanity with AI, using, driving us without traffic, and, automated everything, going to government systems to take care of visas and to take care of, driver's license things. And it's all automated AI, and it can help us be so much more efficient with our time and all this stuff. But anyways, I'm sorry for the long tangent, but I'm basically saying, let's use our imaginations. We already had the conversation through Maddie and Jeremy, which I'm sure you're going to link at the bottom here. But they're already starting, and the train is already running to turn this event into a festival, into a celebration, into an educational tool. So we can, based on that, we can use our imagination to create an even bigger story of, like, we are just now planting the seeds. We're using our imagination, which is not a far stretch. We're using, we know military people are excited about this disclosure happening. We know that they want to know. We know that the human race can unite together to understand, to unite together on this journey to uncover our history and our future, and connect beings from another galaxy that have probably evolved many more millions of years beyond our capabilities of evolution right now, and have access to information and fun, cool things. Zero gravity gymnastics. Can you imagine zero gravity gymnastics as being part of the Olympics?
I love it. Amazing.
So these types of things that we can use our imagination to go into the future and see a world where cool things are happening, where we are uniting, where we are having a party, as opposed to the default mechanism, because we've been trained through our media and our culture and everything else to default to the worst possible scenario. But now we can use our imagination. If we learn to unprogram that old programming of the worst possible scenario, but start focusing on the best possible scenario, then we can create that reality quicker by focusing on that, and sort of letting all of the, bad things can happen, and there are precautions being taken. The FBI, the other agencies are looking at the situation, trying to figure out and make sure that the worst case scenario does not happen. Let them deal with that. Let's focus on the party. You and I, let's focus on the trust that we have, very capable law enforcement agencies, who want to serve and protect. That's what they signed up for. And they're looking at all aspects to make sure this stays safe.
Wow. How beautiful would it be in the best, highest scenario if some of the people that are right now in the military working at Area 51 would actually come onto the stage and say, guys, you were right. We do have UFOs. We do have aliens. We were just afraid, to tell you guys. But because the energy is so nice and so high and so high-vibing, and you are ready, and we don't want to keep secrets anymore, and we're going to share everything with you, but in divine timing, maybe a few steps, But we're not going to keep it a secret anymore. And then maybe they will even call out to all the other governments around the world to do the same thing. Whereas, by the way, a lot of other governments aren't being as secretive about this as the US is right now. Like Russia is super open about it, which is amazing. They have people in their politics that claim to have been on UFOs, and they're respected as everybody else is in, say, our own government. Nobody frowns at that even. And I'm like, whoa, you're prime minister and you say you've been on a UFO, and everybody's like, oh yeah, of course. super cool.
Yeah.
And so there's parts of the world where this is so incredibly accepted. We have no idea. Let's please bundle our knowledge, what we know, and start thriving on the data, the knowledge that we have, which you just said earlier in the conversation. That's the real power, the data, the information, what we're learning, what we can use to improve our lives, well-being, our happiness, so that we can get off randomly subscribed medication that makes people depressed and start shooting all around them, so that we can move away from where we have just been. We've seen enough of that. I think so too. So
Sure.
let's start thinking in the opposite direction and
Yep.
create a whole new vision for our planet, which I also really believe we can have.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, it's happening. The beautiful thing is we don't have to stretch our imaginations too far.
It's actually really close. This is all very doable.
It's all happening right now. And
yes.
what you just said is beautiful as far as, having somebody come up on the stage. Absolutely. I love that. And we've just put out the invitation now in this video. We're putting out the invitation for blowers. In addition, I think Jeremy's trying to get Bob Lazar to speak there, as well as others. But any others who haven't come forward yet, let's give them a microphone. Let's give them an opportunity.
In particular, those people, because I think, I have my thoughts about that, but especially new people add to complete this story and the puzzle pieces that we now have that seem open-ended, because I know there are matching pieces out there. People are just walking around with it, afraid to speak. So I hope this creates, like you said, a safe platform. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, no expectations. If it doesn't this time, again, we're having the conversation.
Exactly.
The more this gets out to the ethers, the more people are going to feel comfortable, the less scrutinizing that, they're going to get from their peers and friends. Even the government now is being very open with this information. In fact, like I said, this, with all the news about the AATIP program and everything else, it seems the government is ahead of the curve more than a lot of the people. I've talked to people at work events, and I'm like, you guys know, like, you've seen the videos released by the Pentagon, and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's been over a year now that the U.S. government has released videos and has openly said there's something flying around. They're not saying it's ETs because they're being very careful about all that. But we no longer. This is one of Jeremy's. I love Jeremy's quotes. We no longer have the luxury for disbelief. It's now, we're at this place now where we can confidently say something beyond this world exists. And you and I, of course, know this. I mean, you right? Our experience. But as a like this this is why I said this conversation is so important, because you can have this conversation with anybody, no matter their religion, no matter their ethnical backgrounds or whatever, because of the amount of awareness on this subject matter now. It's an amazing time to be alive. It's an amazing time to have this conversation. You're not going to get ridiculed. You might have a lot of question marks and people are like, what? But we can now, evidence supports us far enough to say this is a real phenomenon. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
And the whistleblowers can come forward and basically have that confidence, knowing that they're not going to be ridiculed to a point. They might get it's still a bumpy road out there, but
we're still on a threshold.
Way easier than before. And just look at the show. Look at Interview with Ed, being the #1 watch show on Gaia. This is also a conversation. We could talk about channeling, and most people would sort of roll their eyes and whatever. But now, it's a step. So first, proving that ETs are real is a big step, and we're in that. The next is, okay, how do you communicate with them? Channeling being one of many modalities. That also is a huge step that we're breaking right now. And then sort of that, once you pull on that string, all of this stuff is just going to be, and it's being pulled on right now. And it's
going to snowball.
It's snowballing already. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here right now in this life, in this time, like you said.
Absolutely.
And yeah, well, it's so awesome to have you make time for this in between your travels. Like while you're on the road. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I love the conversation, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it with us. And everybody watching, check out the links below. We're just going to share every link that we can possibly think of so that you can play around with this in your own way. There's a lot of really fun and interesting stuff to find out there. And it's no longer just for the people looking at the physical evidence or people that are just spiritually oriented. It's really starting to overlap. And that is the beauty in this. What makes me so excited about bringing this out and sharing it also on my channel. So thanks for watching.
Yeah, great catching up. I can't believe it's been, again, a year since our last video conversation with Gita. So
insane. This is time absolutely flies.
Because I think we're talking about the Lionsgate portal, which is this yeah. And then we're here now. This weekend is Lionsgate again. I think that time it was right at the weekend after right after Lionsgate.
Maybe there's something with that.
There could be.
Who knows? Another portal.
Absolutely. Cool.
Wow. Who would have thought a year ago that this would be going on right now? Like, I'm psyched.
Me too.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm currently working on season 2 for Interview with Ed for Gaia right now and for the Vimeo channel. So it's one of the reasons why I'm on the road so much. This weekend is a convention. I'm doing an anime convention, but lots in the works. We can you want to prematurely announce our event right now? We can.
Oh, well.
Why not? Let's do it.
You mean you wanna do an announcement, or?
Let's do the announcement right now on this video. So
go ahead, make an announcement.
Okay. The announcement is, there's a number of things in the works here, and Wieteke and I and Gita Rose also who was on the channel, on this talking about a year ago. We have come up with with a small, intimate group contact retreat in Hawaii that will go for 6 days. And our website is being built right now, and it should be up probably by the time this video comes out. It should be up in about a week or so after that. That will be able to take registrations. We're only going to be able to take 15 people initially, but this is going to be the first of many events that we plan to produce and expand upon and help us make contact. A big part of, I think, the subject matter is we're constantly, we're going to the contact retreats, or not retreats, but like Contact in the Desert or the UFO conferences. We're hearing people and sitting and doing things. But what we want to do is have a more interactive, a more being in the energy. Bashar always says you have to do it, right? You have to actually physically do it. Or actually, Bruce Lee even said, knowing is not enough. We must apply. And taking action physically in this beautiful state of Hawaii, country, really, it's its own dimensional vortex, and connecting to the stars. Wieteke bringing through our June and doing your work. We're going to have workshops. We're going to have interactive hiking and CE5 events, swimming with dolphins. So all of this is going to happen in March. The full website with all of the registration and event list and workshop details are all going to be up very soon.
Yay, super excited.
Yeah. Super excited.
So we're going to put the links below so you guys can keep an eye on that. And we would love to see you there to help co-create a world where disclosure has already happened, and we're just going to celebrate it. We're going to walk it. We're going to walk this talk as we already are, in a sense, and we are inviting you guys on board.
Because for how many decades now have we had ET conferences where it's just like, they're here, maybe they're here, maybe they're not, or let's look at the evidence, whatever. Yeah. We're coming, you know, anybody who watches my show, anybody who follows Wieteke, we're coming at it from a stance that it's already happened. We're already, and what are the next steps? The next steps is raising our vibration, unionizing even more and connecting to this energy that already is here. There's no doubt anymore. And to experience it and experience the high vibes that it has to offer. That's the next steps, I think, and that's what we're planning to do in this contact retreat.
Yes, I hope to that.
I hope to that.
Yes, thank you, Reuben. Absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward.
We didn't plan on announcing it here, but why not, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Maybe we could do a separate video with Gita later, where we're just talking about all the details.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
So, yes, contact retreat coming up. Check it out. Links below. Wieteke, this has been an awesome conversation. Thanks for the invite. And unfortunately, as much as I want to go to the Storm Area 51 event, I'm going to be in Europe, actually, in Ireland for a video game conference I've been invited to. And I've already contracted to sort of do that. So it would be out of integrity for me to, as much as I would love to go to Area 51 during this event, I have to stick to my prior engagements. Plus, Ireland is not a bad place to be. You know, September 20th, I'll still energetically be, you know, in that energy and celebrating disclosure in my spot on the earth.
Yes. And same here. I'm not going to be there, but I will be there with the energy from my heart and connecting to it. I already am every single day. And, you know, really, we're all co-creating this together, and everybody else around the world, and you're in Europe, for instance, who feels connected to that particular event on September 20th, but won't be able to make it for whatever reason. Let's just, you know, hold space for it and be there in energy, because we are co-creating all this together, and let this be such a joyous and beautiful celebration on our version of Earth. I love you all, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Absolutely amazing. Like, subscribe, all the things, you know the way. And I will see you again in the next one. Ciao.
Hey, ciao. Bye-bye.